afternoon, Facebook folks. This is Gabe here from Gabe Toth Music Instruction and Sound. Not sound, however, Gabe Toth Music Instruction and Coaching, LLC, with basis in Lower Nazareth. It's Gabe Toth Music Instruction and Coaching Online, LLC. However, I do have a lesson studio that I just built in my basement, and it's a nice cozy little place with a bunch of musical instruments, an electric drum kit, keyboards, guitars, all this neat stuff. So today we're going to have vocal lesson number 2. Now, if you remember, I hope you can all hear the piano okay. Now, recap from yesterday. The healthiest way to get started with singing, what was the first thing I told you? We want to be relaxed. So the first thing we start doing is, remember, when we breathe in through our nose, and we fill up our stomach cavity with air. And what happens, our lungs drop at the same time, okay, and we keep filling up until there's no more space left to fill up, and then we hold for 1 second, and then we take another sharp breath on top of that and hold for another second, and then we exhale slowly like we're breathing into a straw. As far as posture, whether we're sitting or standing, we want to make sure feet are shoulder width apart, 1 foot slightly in front of the other, and our back is straight. Now, we're not talking military straight, because when you go military straight, we're actually arching it back a little bit. Okay, so we want to have a little slight lean forward. Okay, so we can open everything up and relax everything. Okay, and we start with breathing in deeply, filling up the stomach. Okay, until there's no more room left, and then we hold, sharp breath on top of that, and then we exhale slowly through the pierced lips like we're breathing through a straw. Okay, so I'm going to show you an exercise. Now, what does this, I forgot to show you, what do we do with this part of the body? Well, we want to make sure our head stays down and forward. Now, when I say down, I don't mean sticking the chin into the chest, but a nice forward and down, kind of like a turtle almost, like okay, down and forward, as if we have like a marionette. If you don't know what marionette is, Google it. Okay, those old-time puppets, and it's like we have a marionette string on the back of our head, and it's holding our head down. Okay, we really don't want to, especially when we sing higher notes, we never, ever, ever want to raise our head. Bad thing. Okay, if you feel yourself wanting to do that, okay, force it down, because that will make, we have no other choice but to make the diaphragm work more. So we're doing more work here, less work here, so you can do more here and last longer here. How does that sound? I do online coaching, okay, vocal coaching. I guarantee you will feel the aha moments at the very first lesson. Okay, check out reviews for teaching that I've done on Google, okay, with Gabe Toth Music Instruction. And it took me 30 years to develop these methods, so I just took a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and gee, what works for me and what doesn't work for me, and what works for the hundreds of other people that I've worked with, and what doesn't work. So I used everything that I teach, everything that I say, everything that I believe in. It comes from personal experience of being on the earth for 51 years, in the music industry for 40 years, teaching on and off for 30 years. So I've known many people Many voices, many instrumentalists, worn many hats. However, I want to deliver results for you. I have some spots open on Mondays and Tuesdays. Maybe I believe about maybe 3 or 4 spots each day, and then a couple varied spots throughout the week. Remember, I'm also having a contest where I am offering and giving. It's promotional because I revamped my whole business and trying to get the best online presence as possible, because that's the way to go these days. And it takes a while because there are over 4 billion people on the internet, and about 8 billion in the world. And obviously, as children get older or turn 18 and can have a little bit more access depending on the parents, then there's more joining every day. So my goal is to spread what I've learned and give the knowledge to you. Okay, please check out my website, www.gabetoth-music-instruction. It's Muzak, M-U-Z-A-K, instruction.com. And please sign up for my blog, because every day I put lessons and information in PDF form in a post of things that I bet you would never know. I bet the lesson mill that you're taking your child to now for lessons would never tell you, and stuff that we would never think of that can actually help you quicker than a lot of traditional methods, okay, in a more quicker and efficient way. Stuff that I don't want to hide, and stuff that you really need to hear. And I've spent 30 years taking the rocket science out of singing. And I even noticed since a young age, something about singing, it's like everybody freaks out about it, like, oh, I can't sing, or don't sing, and and then you have the very judgmentals, or then you have the guy, I can't hold a tune, and blah, blah, blah. Two things. If you have a problem with singing and you feel you are not good, chances are it's either most likely your breathing, or number 2, your ear. Okay? The ear and what comes out of here works hand in hand. Okay, so if we can't hear music properly, or we want ear training so we can hear music better and more efficiently and be able to pinpoint different things and evaluate, then what's going to come out of here is going to be better, stronger, and more efficient. I've done ear training and work with students that by their 3rd or 4th lesson, they're actually stopping themselves and saying, oh, I'm sharp, or oh, I'm flat. So the first thing is they're recognizing that they're off. That is the first step to progress. Okay? So now, again, back to the lesson. Okay? We keep our head down and forward, back straight, slight lean forward. Now, when we sing, we're going to sing 4 different vowels, okay? We're going to go ta, te, ti, and ta. Now, what did you notice about those 4 different vowels that I sang, okay? And my mouth was in the same position for each one, okay? Down and forward, so we get a richer sound, okay? And what we want to do, we just drop our jaw like we were shot with Novocaine in our mouth or teeth, and we're going to get our tooth pulled or surgery in our mouth, and we just let it really lazy and drop, okay? And we want our tongue to just lay naturally. We shouldn't have to have any force, okay? We don't have to force it, but just let the tongue lay naturally where it lays, either behind the bottom teeth or lip, okay? Which either one is more comfortable, Okay, so we're gonna take a lower key here, and we're just gonna do ta ah 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 ah. Now, we're not just singing ta 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 ta. We have to do it a special way, okay? Because we're going to exercise everything we can at one time. Okay? So, this works on attack, okay? Because when we sing a phrase, when we go into singing a song, we want to hit the right note with the right pitch and strong, okay? And also the pitch and the breathing. So we're gonna go ta ah 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 2 times each, and then the last time is 5, and we hold it. So we're going ta ah 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 ah, and really lay into that higher note, because ta ah 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 ah. Okay, you should feel your diaphragm moving almost like a heartbeat every note. Okay, so now we're going to go teh, T-E-H, teh, eh, 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 and use the power from down here. We don't want to put everything into the throat, or we go teh, eh, 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 eh. Hear the difference? Okay, I used the throat there. So using the gut, teh, eh, 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 eh. Okay, and keeping the head down and relaxed. If you feel any tension, the way to work through that is open the mouth wider, head down more, and more of a push from the diaphragm. But how do we do that? I've used the analogy of the stress sigh. You ever go, okay? Now, it's the same concept of that. We want to yawn through it, or stress sigh through it, or, sigh or yawn, okay? So it's the same concept, but instead of letting out air or a curse word, we're letting out a musical tone. So the stress sigh has gotten many high notes. Ta, ha, 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 ha. I just yawned, believe it or not, okay? Ha. That's what I did, but I put that ta, ha, 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 ha. Okay, now we're going to go te, eh, 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 eh. Now notice the mouth isn't moving at all, okay? We don't want to go te, eh, 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 eh. Oh, gee, that's a lot of work to do that. So, te, eh, 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 eh. Okay, then we're going to go ti, like we're saying the name Timothy. Okay, so we have ti, eh, 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 eh. Okay, and really make sure you're hitting those high notes very staccato, which is short. Ti, eh, 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 eh. Okay, and then the notes on the way up, we're doing marcato. Okay, which we're hitting each one with an attack. And we're not doing it staccato, which is very, very short. Ti, eh, eh, eh. That would be staccato. And we're not doing legato, which would be too smooth. Ti, which most come to me singing like in the beginning. So, but we're going into the middle, where it's marcato. Ti, eh, 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 eh. Okay, notice the mouth stays in the same position. I'm not showing any. If any of you are singing and you're singing like that, You better sign up with coaching lessons with me right now, because you're going to hurt yourself and you're going to blow your voice out by the time you're 40. And if you're over 40, by the time you're 60. But if you're singing like this and it sounds like that and feels like that, rather than 484-544-2541. So anyway, the last vowel is ta, like the cat sat in the hat. So we're going to go ta, ah, 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 ah. Again, the mouth is still in the same position it was for ta, te, ti, and ta. Okay? So, again, we have ta, ah, 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 ah. The only thing doing any work is right here. This is just acting as the mouth in here. The jaw is just acting as a trumpet mouth bell. The bell of a trumpet. Okay? Ta, eh, 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 and I wish there'd be a way to show you, but as I'm singing those, my stomach is going in and out. Okay? And you can also check yourself to see if you're using the correct diaphragm usage. Okay? And remember, the diaphragm is a muscle. Okay? So stop saying to breathe properly. You breathe into the diaphragm. You cannot breathe into a muscle. Okay? So we breathe into the tummy. Okay, you can say like we're 5 years old. Breathe into the tummy. Okay, and then we compress the air through the tummy, through the diaphragm. Okay, so those of you who like cars, I also use a car analogy. Okay, the tummy, the stomach, is a gas tank. The air is the gas, of course. And what is that? The catalytic converter. The diaphragm is like the catalytic converter that takes the gas and compresses it through the fuel system. So, of course, our fuel system is from here to our exhaust pipe, which is the esophagus, larynx, pharynx, whatever the heck you want to call it, voice box, windpipe. It doesn't matter if you know crazy vocabulary or not, because I've always, that's one of my weaknesses. I've never been that strong with vocabulary, but hey, can't be perfect at everything. I mean, I'm good. I'm happy with what the knowledge that I do have. Okay, remember, knowledge is power. So there is our lesson pretty much. If you have any questions, any comments, any suggestions, okay, and like I say, most who come to me have this kind of problem. Okay, and they're like, oh, I can't get those high notes. Well, gee, lowering your head and opening your mouth, you'll be surprised. I guarantee you, on the first lesson, if you don't sing like that, I guarantee you'll be able to sing at least 2 notes higher right from the get-go. Okay? So remember that. Okay? So, and also please check out my blog at www.GabeTothMusicInstruction. Okay? Now, usually after this part of the lesson, we go into a little bit more of the working. Okay, we do an octave jump where we go ta, ta, ta. Now, what I did there was I overshot it on the high note. Okay, so I'm going to go a little higher. I gave it too much air. Ta, 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 ta. And you do it real quick. Ta, ta, ta. Te, te, te. Te, te, te. Ta, ta, ta. Okay, now I was a little off there because I'm not warmed up yet and it was thin. So what can I do to warm that up quicker and to make it sound thicker? Drop the jaw more, open the mouth. Remember, the tongue stays behind the bottom teeth or lip, which either one's more comfortable, and push more like we're doing that stress side. Okay? Ta ta ta. Okay? www.gabetothmusicinstruction.com and or 484-544-2541. We pinpoint your musical singing issues, and I guarantee you listen to some of these suggestions, follow these suggestions, no matter who you are or whatever you think you have or do not have. You will have an aha moment, maybe even a couple of them, right at the very first session, okay? And if you don't have any aha moment, now I'm not going to say this because you might keep a straight face on purpose. But anyway, have a great day. God bless, and keep the music alive. Peace, love, and happiness.